2 weeks ago, I'm outside my office. My assistant comes up and says, Suge Knight wants to speak to you from jail. I said, who? He said, Suge Knight. The Suge? Yes. Gotta be kidding me. No.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
A massive bombshell has recently rocked the entertainment world, and it centers on none other than Snoop Dogg and his alleged connections to Diddy's infamous gatherings. What were once whispered rumors have now erupted into the public eye, with shocking claims making waves. Could Snoop, the laid-back icon we've come to love from his appearances on cooking shows with Martha Stewart, have been involved in something far darker behind the scenes? And what about the whispers suggesting he played a role in Diddy's secretive, high-profile events? Parties that have reportedly shaken the foundations of Hollywood's elite. The streets are buzzing, and the revelations spilling out are more shocking than anyone could have imagined.
Now, to the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
Let's rewind and set the stage. Diddy, known for his opulent lifestyle and over-the-top events, has always been a larger-than-life figure. From dominating the music scene with Bad Boy Records to building empires in fashion and media, he's consistently stayed at the top of the game. However, recent headlines paint a far less glamorous picture. Allegations of misconduct, secretive parties, and a growing cloud of controversy have put him back in the spotlight, but not for reasons he'd hoped for. Now, Snoop Dogg's name has been pulled into the mix, with swirling rumors suggesting he wasn't just another guest at Diddy's infamous gatherings. Some speculate he might have been a key figure in the shadowy world behind the scenes.
Do this alone. Do you foresee that there could be other charges related to this case?
I'm not taking anything off the table.
No one wants him mentioned.
According to insiders, these gatherings were far from your typical Hollywood parties. Word on the street is that Diddy's events, infamously dubbed freak-offs, were multi-day affairs filled with scandalous and controversial behavior. What's even more shocking is the alleged involvement of Snoop Dogg. Known for transforming his public persona from a West Coast rap icon to a mainstream pop culture favorite, Snoop is now being linked to these secretive events. Adding fuel to the fire, Suge Knight, the former Death Row Records CEO and a figure surrounded by his own controversies, has been one of the most vocal critics. He claims Snoop not only knew about what went on at these freak-offs, but may have even played an active role.
The U.S. judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male workers across state lines to take part in recorded performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence.
Suge Knight, currently serving time, has been making waves from behind bars with explosive claims about Snoop Dogg's alleged ties to Diddy's world. In a recent interview, Suge hinted that Snoop's connection to Diddy runs deeper than most realize, describing him as always loyal and suggesting the two were closer than they let on. Adding to the controversy, Jaguar Wright, another outspoken industry figure, echoed Suge's allegations, claiming Snoop's silence amid Diddy's recent scandals isn't coincidental but strategic. She implied that Snoop's tight-lipped approach might stem from having just as much at stake, raising suspicions that he may have been involved in the same controversial activities now coming to light.
What prosecutors are arguing is not only does your client pose a flight risk, because obviously he's incredibly wealthy, has access to planes and a lot of staff, even though you said he turned over his passport to you months ago, they were also worried about him being able to interfere with witnesses and calling them.
Jaguar Wright didn't stop there, suggesting that Snoop Dogg's meticulously crafted public persona, complete with commercials, hosting gigs, and even moments like carrying the Olympic torch, might be concealing a much darker truth. It's not just Jaguar and Suge Knight raising these questions. fans and industry insiders are also starting to wonder how Snoop transformed from a rapper with a controversial past to a beloved, family-friendly icon. One fan put it bluntly, "How does someone who was once public enemy number one become Hollywood's golden boy?" These concerns have only intensified as Snoop's name gets linked to shocking rumors about Diddy's notorious freak-offs. Reportedly held after Diddy's legendary white parties, these events were described as secretive, exclusive, and rife with scandalous behavior. According to Michael Kaplan of the New York Post, once the main event ended, A-listers would leave, and a select group of Diddy's closest confidants would remain. That's when the real party began. Multi-day affairs filled with wild, unrestrained activities. Some sources even claim male and female guests were invited to engage in explicit acts, while Diddy and his inner circle watched.
Did in fact occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, engaging and voluntarily engaging in this conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
Allegations surrounding these parties have taken a shocking turn with claims about Snoop Dogg's alleged involvement. Suge Knight has accused Snoop of not just attending these gatherings, but actively participating and even helping Diddy recruit guests. In a bombshell interview, Suge claims Snoop had individuals working for him to bring new people into the fold, including women tasked with recruiting others. Rumors have also surfaced about incriminating footage reportedly uncovered during federal raids on Diddy's properties earlier this year. These tapes allegedly depict high-precious figures, including Snoop, engaging in behavior that could shock even Hollywood insiders. Though the tapes have not been made public, their rumored existence has sent ripples through the industry, with fears that their release could upend the careers of some of entertainment's most powerful figures.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes.
Yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
The situation becomes even murkier when considering Snoop Dogg's long-standing relationship with Diddy, which goes beyond parties and alleged tapes. Their bond stretches back years, with the two regularly seen together at events like NBA games and award shows, and even their families are closely connected. Snoop's kids are reportedly friends with Diddy's sons. This deep connection has led some to believe that Snoop has remained loyal to Diddy, even as his empire has started to crumble under scandal. Fans are growing frustrated, with one commenting, "Snoop's been playing the nice guy for years, but now it seems like he's been hiding in plain sight." Despite Snoop's universal popularity, rumors continue to grow, with many questioning how someone with a controversial past could reinvent himself as a mainstream icon. Some fans now speculate that Snoop's transformation from a gangster to a household name wasn't as organic as it seemed, and that he may have made deals behind the scenes to protect his career and ensure his rise to fame. Deals that could involve some of the same powerful figures now implicated in Diddy's downfall.
At the end of the day, just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
Speaking of Snoop's rise to fame, it's impossible to overlook that he was once under the close watch of federal authorities. In the 90s, Snoop was a controversial figure, with law enforcement keeping tabs on him and his associates. Yet somehow he managed to avoid the same fate as other rappers caught in legal battles. Could it be that Snoop formed strategic alliances to keep himself out of trouble? Fans are certainly beginning to ask that question. Adding to the intrigue, Suge Knight has been hinting that Snoop's loyalty to Diddy may run much deeper and darker than anyone realizes. Suge claims that Snoop's involvement in Diddy's freak-offs wasn't just about having fun, but about maintaining his place in the industry. According to Suge, Snoop knew that staying close to Diddy and in the good graces of Hollywood's most powerful figures was crucial for his career. But now that Diddy's empire is crumbling, Snoop is allegedly doing everything he can to distance himself from the controversy. However, Suge isn't letting him off the hook. He's calling on Snoop to come clean about his role in everything.
Thought Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do
Jaguar Wright has weighed in on the situation, claiming that Snoop Dogg's loyalty to Diddy is the reason behind his silence regarding the ongoing drama. She stated that Snoop has always been loyal to Diddy and that his silence speaks volumes, suggesting he has just as much to lose as Diddy if the full truth is exposed. Known for her candidness, Jaguar paints a picture of an industry where loyalty and silence are more important than money. But it's not just Snoop's loyalty to Diddy that's raising questions. His complicated relationship with Tupac Shakur has also sparked rumors. For years, insiders have suggested that Snoop felt overshadowed by Tupac's success, with some claiming that Snoop resented the fact that Tupac was becoming the face of West Coast rap, a title that Snoop once held himself.
To pick a side, I mean, you picked a side. Now you're taking on all of their enemies. When you're born in it.
Napoleon, a former member of Tupac Shakur's group, The Outlaws, recently spoke out, claiming that Snoop Dogg's recent comments about Tupac don't align with his behavior when Tupac was alive. Snoop recently stated that he never liked Tupac's infamous diss track Hit 'Em Up, but Napoleon wasn't convinced. He pointed out that there's footage of Snoop rapping along to the track on stage with Tupac, raising the question, was Snoop being fake then, or is he being fake now? Napoleon suggested that Snoop's recent comments are part of a larger pattern of downplaying his relationship with Tupac in order to protect himself. Napoleon isn't the only one calling Snoop out. L. Beck from the Death Row family also weighed in, saying that Snoop couldn't handle Tupac stealing the spotlight. According to LB, Snoop was used to being the biggest star at Death Row, but when Tupac arrived, everything changed. Tupac became the face of West Coast rap, and Snoop didn't like it. LB went on to say that Snoop was cool, but had no new music coming out, while Tupac was on fire with fresh material, and this shift created a lot of tension between the two.
There's no punishment if they protected by the road, the judge.
Suge Knight has supported these claims, revealing that it wasn't just Snoop who felt threatened by Tupac Shakur's rise to fame. According to Suge, everyone at Death Row, including Dr. Dre, the Dog Pound, and other label artists, felt the pressure as Tupac became the biggest star on the West Coast. Suge explained that people would approach Snoop at events and ask where Tupac was, which only added to the growing tension within the label. Tupac's meteoric rise clearly created a rift, with Snoop positioned at the heart of it. But the drama doesn't stop there. On a recent episode of his prison podcast, Suge made a shocking claim, suggesting that Snoop might have had a hand in Tupac's demise. While Suge didn't provide concrete evidence to support this accusation, his suggestion has sparked widespread speculation. Could it be that Snoop was more involved in the events leading up to Tupac's death than anyone ever realized? The claim has certainly left many wondering.
Yesterday, on Monday, Diddy celebrated his 55th birthday, but this year was a lot different. It was no Diddy parties. It was none of that. None of that stuff. Well, happily so, I guess, right now. But anyway, so this is his first birthday behind bars.
This brings us back to Diddy. For years, rumors have circulated suggesting that he was involved in the East Coast-West Coast feud that ultimately led to Tupac Shakur's demise. Some have even gone as far as to claim that Diddy ordered a hit on Tupac, though he has always denied such allegations. Now, with Suge Knight hinting that Snoop might have played a role in Tupac's death, fans are starting to wonder if Diddy and Snoop were working together all along. Could it be that the two were part of a larger conspiracy to take down Tupac? It's a wild theory, but in Hollywood, anything is possible. As these rumors continue to swirl, one thing is clear. The relationship between Diddy and Snoop is far more complicated than it appears. While the two have maintained a public friendship for years, the recent allegations suggest there's much more happening behind the scenes. Whether it's their alleged involvement in the freak-offs or their potential connection to Tupac's demise, there are many unanswered questions, and as more people speak out, it's becoming increasingly difficult to separate fact from fiction.
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the shoe have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there.
What's even more shocking is the silence from other industry giants regarding these allegations. In a recent live interview, Suge Knight threw shade at figures like Jay-Z and Dr. Dre, accusing them of being aware of Diddy's behavior and choosing to stay quiet. Suge suggests that these powerful figures in the music industry have turned a blind eye to what has been going on for years, and now that the truth is starting to come to light, they are scrambling to distance themselves from the controversy. This is a strategy we've seen before in Hollywood. When the walls start closing in, key players go into hiding. But the question remains, will Snoop be able to keep his secrets hidden much longer? As for the tapes allegedly found during the raid on Diddy's properties, fans are anxiously awaiting whether they will ever be made public. If the tapes do exist and Snoop is featured on them, it could spell disaster for his career. After years of building a reputation as a lovable, laid-back icon, Snoop could find himself at the center of a scandal that would dominate headlines for months. Could this be the end of Snoop Dogg as we know him?
Hey, I never came across anything where Pac was saying he wanted to make right with these guys. These individuals didn't even like.
For now, all we have are rumors, but in Hollywood, rumors have a way of becoming reality. What began as whispers about Diddy's wild parties has now erupted into a full-blown scandal, dragging some of the biggest names in the industry into the mess. As more people speak out, it's becoming clear that we're only scratching the surface of what really went on behind closed doors. This brings us to the next part of the story, where we'll dive deeper into Snoop's relationship with Tupac Shakur, the East Coast-West Coast feud, and the shocking allegations that Snoop's jealousy of Tupac may have played a role in one of the biggest tragedies in hip-hop history. Stay tuned, this story is just beginning.
It was like two children in grade school that just hit it off and just hung out with each other all the time.
Here's where things get even more tangled. The deeper connection between Snoop Dogg, Diddy, and the legacy of Tupac Shakur. The rumors about Snoop's alleged involvement in Diddy's secretive world are shocking enough, but when you throw Tupac into the mix, things take a whole new twist. The relationship between Snoop and Tupac has always been a hot topic in hip-hop, with the tension between them still getting people talking today. What if the beef wasn't just about professional jealousy? What if there's more to the story than Snoop has ever revealed? While Tupac and Snoop were once close, West Coast brothers in arms, both signed to Death Row Records, and pushing the boundaries of hip-hop, something seemed off in the final months of Tupac's life. It's well known that Tupac became the bigger star, which didn't sit well with everyone at Death Row, especially Snoop. Suge Knight, who was running the label at the time, has been vocal about how Tupac's rise stirred up jealousy and resentment among many at the label, including Snoop, who wasn't thrilled about being overshadowed.
So this is the thing I'm going to tell you. We from two different worlds, number one, him and I.
If Diddy was involved, could Snoop have been in on it too? After all, Snoop famously took a more neutral stance during the East Coast-West Coast feud. While Tupac and Biggie were locked in a bitter rivalry, Snoop was trying to keep his distance. In one interview, Snoop even admitted that he wanted to make music with Biggie and didn't understand why Tupac was so intent on stirring up the beef. "I didn't have any problems with Biggie or Puffy," Snoop said. "I was cool with them. I didn't want to get involved in all that drama." But what if his neutrality wasn't just about maintaining peace? What if it was about self-preservation? Some fans speculate that Snoop's decision to stay out of Tupac's beef with the East Coast was a strategic move to protect himself. After all, Snoop had a lot to lose. Getting caught in a coast-to-coast war could have derailed his career, so did Snoop make a deal with the East Coast to stay out of the drama? It's a wild theory, but in the world of hip-hop, stranger things have happened.
As if I was scared. Death Row looked at me as like a traitor. The next day.
Some believe that Snoop's neutrality during the East Coast-West Coast feud wasn't as innocent as it appeared. In fact, Suge Knight has suggested that Snoop's decision to distance himself from the drama was part of a larger strategy to align himself with Diddy and the East Coast. According to Suge, Snoop knew that Tupac's war with the East Coast was bound to end badly, and he wanted to ensure he was on the winning side when the dust settled. This brings us back to the possibility of Snoop being involved in Diddy's world. If Snoop was already positioning himself to stay in Diddy's good graces, it's plausible that he would have been aware of what was happening at Diddy's infamous parties. And if he knew what was going on at these events, it raises more questions about his role in the events leading up to Tupac's passing. Could Snoop have been playing both sides, maintaining his West Coast credibility while also staying close to Diddy's inner circle?
The investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
As we delve deeper into the rumors, it's becoming evident that Snoop's relationship with Tupac Shakur was far more complex than anyone realized. On the surface, they were allies, both representing the West Coast and fighting for Death Row Records. But beneath that facade, there was tension, jealousy, and mistrust. Now, with Suge Knight dropping bombshells from behind bars, it's hard not to question whether Snoop's role in Tupac's life and his untimely passing was more significant than we've been led to believe. However, we can't forget that the East Coast-West Coast feud wasn't just about Tupac and Biggie. It involved many key players, including Diddy, Suge, and even Snoop. Though it was often portrayed as a coast-to-coast battle, at its core, it was a fight for power and control in the rap game. Diddy and Suge were at the heart of it, each striving to assert dominance. For a while, the West Coast seemed to be winning, with Tupac leading the charge and Death Row at its peak. But after Tupac's death, everything shifted. The balance of power tipped, and the East Coast began to rise once again.
What his team is trying to do is get the public to assume that the government is leaking some of this negative information about him, like that Cassie video. But the reality is, he's got a lot of enemies.
So, what do you think? Could Snoop have been playing both sides all along? And if those tapes ever see the light of day, will they finally uncover the truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this story is only getting more intense. Until next time, stay vigilant, because in the world of celebrity gossip, the truth is often stranger than fiction.